Welcome, everybody, and good evening, and happy early Halloween. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I want to thank the friends of Lawrence Heritage State Park, the Friends Board. This is about them tonight. Let's hope this goes well. And I want to thank the friends again for having this tonight. Due to the COVID 19, I usually do this talk at the Lawrence Heritage State Park every year for the friends, but due to the state park being closed, and we're hoping it opens real soon, we're going to continue doing the friends talk just like we've done in the past. But today we're going to do it live on LCAT TV. And we are live tonight on Channel 98 and 8 Methuen. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. We're going to talk about how do you know if your house is haunted. Now, I've been around a long time. So doing this for close to 12 years with the Essex County Ghost Project and many years before that with other teams and on my own. It's a very interesting field. So what usually happens is we're going to go right through this from the beginning. So we get a phone call. Phone rings. I answer it. And then we find out, well, what's going on out there. So the client will say, or the prospective client will say, I have A, B, C, D, E, and F going on. And we're going to get into those letters real soon. And I said, okay. So how would you know at home if your house is haunted? Well, just because the light flickers, the keys may or may not get misplaced. Or you could hear creaks, especially in the older homes. You're going to hear a lot of creaks. And a lot of these apartment buildings here in the city of Lawrence, a lot of them, you're going to hear a lot of creaks because some of the bedrooms are actually, when the homes were built, were actually porches that they turned into part of the house. You can see it as you drive by. So there's going to be a lot of settling and a lot of creaking. That doesn't mean your house has any haunts to it, but you still could. So you have an unexplained sound. If you're sitting there watching TV, all of a sudden you hear a couple loud bangs and you look around, you don't see anything. If it keeps up, the opening or closing of doors, your cabinets, lights is another thing, disappearing and reappearing objects, unexplained shadows, strange animal behavior, feels like you're being watched. Feeling like you're being watched happens a lot, actually. More than you think. Because if you have high electromagnetic fields, and sometimes you will see this with high magnetic fields. Oh, and Channel 8 in Lawrence, too. You'll see this with high electromagnetic fields. We've done many homes where the electromagnetic field is extremely high. 0.0 to 0.5 is safe. Anything over that can cause you to feel like someone's watching you, your skin crawling, maybe if it's that high, little bites, and we're going to get into that, feel like you're being stung or bitten. So that's a lot of it. And a lot of the old homes, if you go into the basement, is usually the key. When I go on a case, the first place I like to go is the basement. The second place I like to go is the attic, because that's how you tell the age of the house and what's going on. So when you go down to the basement, you look around, you look at the wiring and go, oh, this is interesting. We got old wiring and we got copper piping. A lot of these older homes are still grounded that way. The wire to the copper piping. So, what else can cause this stuff? Well, the other thing you need to look at is, well, hey, if the house shakes, we had a great case up in Hampstead, New Hampshire a few years back where the house shook. And there was paranormal activity, but we debunked the house shaking because they had a pothole, and every time a big truck drove by, they hit the pothole and it shook the house. So that's one thing you got to kind of watch, what's going on there. So traffic, underground water pressure caused by heavy rains, earth tremors, and we do have those in the Merrimack Valley, believe it or not. the wind blowing through loose boards in the walls, especially the older homes. If you have a very older home, first period colonial home, and you keep everything original, the winds is going to go right through those boards. So anything could happen there. Another thing that happens in New England is we have a lot of small animals out there, little creatures. Raccoons, squirrels. Well, raccoons are big, but squirrels, chipmunks. They can get into your house. Groundhogs can get into your house. And anytime they get into the house, you got to watch out for that. Because they also give you that sound, make that sound that something might be there. The wiring could cause the malfunction of the light bulb and whatever else we got going on in the house. Flickering of lights, TV turning on and off. That could all be due to wiring, but it could be to spirit activity too. Now, I know people watching this show live probably near the railroad tracks. Well, railroad track is notorious for carrying a lot of energy because of the rails and the train. Not only that, if you live too close, like on Salem Street, there's a couple homes right along the train tracks. I drive by them all the time. You will sometimes have walls shake or the glass fall off, or if you have nice plates lining the walls, they might fall off the wall, or you could get an earthquake along the way. So that's another thing to look at. Traffic we went over. Now, an older home, is your house properly insulated? If it isn't, you're going to have cold spells, hot spells. You're going to feel that breeze coming through. Electric magnetic fields, very high, could be very dangerous. So that's something else we got to look at. Low decimal sound waves. Yes, they can cause you problems. In fact, I think that's one of the problems we're having tonight is low decimal sound waves. We keep, I'm running this live too on my Facebook page. And the reason for that tonight is I thought the LCAT page would be up and running, but we just had the new system put in, and we're having some technical difficulties. So we'll have this cleared up real quick, so then we'll get back to, then you can see it live streaming on the site. The other thing is carelessness, forgetfulness, and one's own imagination. Sometimes in life we are so rushed that we don't even think what we're doing. We just go out, do it, drop the keys, and go, I thought I put the keys on the key ring, and you find out you left the keys, not at the key ring, but somewhere else. So, again, so some of the general signs that you might look for in your house, after you try to rule out some of the geological factors that I just went over, would be unexplained sounds, opening or closing a closet or cabinet doors, lights or appliances turning off and on, disappearing and reappearing objects, unexplained shadows, strange animal behavior, and feeling like you're being watched. Animals are the best. If you have a cat, a bird, or a dog, and it runs over to a corner and it keeps looking up in the air barking or meowing, or the bird is just giving it a dead stare in that corner, then you know you got some issues. And it may be paranormal. The animals can pick that stuff up really well. We've been in many homes where cats and dogs have actually helped us out. We were in one home, though, that didn't help us out too well. It was an old home in Chester, New Hampshire. The lady took care of birds, rescued birds for the state rescue animal leagues and stuff. And we went into her house, and it was like, whoa, okay. I sent somebody upstairs to do some EVP work, and they sent me upstairs to go, we can't do it. The birds were talking, so that didn't work out too well. All right, some of the strongest signs of hauntings are mild psychokinetic phenomena, physical touch, voices, cold and hot spots, and smells. Well, those would be time to actually call in the help. Mild physical touch, meaning you're being touched, poked, progged, hair pulled, shirt pulled, and whatever else. Voices, that's when you start hearing things and you know you don't see anybody else with you. Cold and hot spots, they're always interesting. You'll be walking through a house, we use our digital thermometers and find weird spots of cool air. The first thing we need to do is actually see, is that air coming through a wall, a ventilation shaft, or could that be a spirit because the energy changed the temperatures? It's real interesting. The more extreme hauntings, moving and levitating objects, physically being attacked, writing on and drawing on walls, and apparitions. Well, moving and levitating objects, we know what that is. You're just sitting there and all of a sudden you see the cup levitate off the table and throw it at you or fall to the ground. Physically being attacked, we've had many of our clients, we get the call going, I was laying in bed and all of a sudden it felt like some heavy thing was pushing on my chest, or, I was walking into my room, I said something and I got shoved down to the floor. Years ago, way back when I first started, we had a case where we had a child push down a small flight of stairs. That was scary. That's something else that could happen. Writing and drawing on walls. We haven't really had that happen to us, but I've read case studies where that's actually happened. Apparitions. That's everywhere we go. Everybody has an apparition or two or three. And a lot of times they could be tied to the building, the home, or an object. So yes, apparitions are, important, and you need to keep an eye on that. I always tell people to keep a journal of what they're seeing. We also, what else do we have here? Okay, so we're going to go back over some of this stuff because there's a lot of stuff to go over. I just generally went over some of the haunting stuff. So the mild haunting, we're going to do mild, moderate, severe, and then my favorite, demonic. All right, so now we've talked about the geological stuff, water, and yes, we did actually, before I continue this, we recently had a case in Somersworth, New Hampshire, and yes, you heard me right. Recently we were up in Somersworth, New Hampshire, helping a family out where a river ran right behind their house. The spirit was actually attached to the land. And if it's a land-based spirit and you own the property, it's easier to move on. No guarantees we're going to move on, but it is a lot easier. But with that said, they don't always want to move on, and we're able to. I haven't heard back from that client. Last time I talked to her recently, things were going pretty well up there. The problems you have when it comes to land-based or geological factors, especially land-based spirits, is if you're in a condex or a condo complex and it's land-based. We had one of these just recently, way out in western Massachusetts. We went out there to help out this gentleman, and it is land-based, but when you start dealing with that type of cul-de-sac, which is all apartments, and mostly like condexes, but they're really apartments. Some veterans housing, some low-income housing. That's all shared property, so we would look kind of weird going out there. So that's when you have to seal off the house, which I will explain. So let's look at, is your house haunted, or what's going to cause your house to be haunted? And if you think your house is haunted, this might help you out and help you make a decision on what you want to do with that house, if you want to call somebody in, or if you don't. It's totally up to the client or the people listening at home. So a mild haunting can consist but not limited to things going missing, turning up in odd places, smells that are often pleasant, that invoke memories of time past, such as a cigar, flowers, coffee brewing, or even perfumes. Seeing things zip past you in the corner of your eye, or seeing light shadows. Harmless, they're there, they know you're there, and you want to, watch what's going on. But I want to talk about this a little bit because I actually worked at a place that had a mild haunting. We called her Rose. Worked at the old Comfort Suites Hotel in Haverhill, and was doing security. And every night around between 1 and 2, Rose would pop in. We called her Rose because all she would sell is heavy scented rose perfume all over the first floor, from where the admission desk was on both sides of the first floor, from room 1 to 99, and then 101 to 120. You'd smell it throughout that whole first floor. And on the second floor, sometimes it was so strong you could smell it raise up to the second floor because it had an open concept. So, and Rose never did anything, so that was good. You had a grandfather or a great uncle or a father or a husband that liked this cigar, and all of a sudden you're sitting at home one night watching TV, you could actually smell that cigar. That means he may be there. Or someone's favorite cigarettes, or a lot of different things. So also with this experience, you're hearing snippets of voice projectiles, like someone calling your name. I hear that a lot. And no one's there. Another phenomenon with electronic equipment being turned on and off, phone calls from weird numbers and on actual dates. I have a lot of contacts in my cell phone, and a few years back, a friend of mine had passed on. I had talked to him like the day before he passed on. He wasn't doing too well. And then I got a call the next day around 11:30, 12 o'clock from another friend saying this older gentleman had passed away. Well, every so often, usually right around the time he passed away, or Christmas Eve day, because I used to go to this gentleman's house, my phone will ring with his phone number. So last year when it did, now the house is not being lived in right now that I know of. I did call it on Christmas Eve. I called back the number, and came back that the number is no longer in service. The number is still in my phone though. Again, it's a minor thing. Most of these spirits are family and friends who have crossed over or who have not quite crossed over. Sometimes they're people who just wandered in for visitation. There's a belief out there, and this happens with all these hauntings that I'm going to go over. Wandering in. What do you mean by wandering in? Well, vessels or doors or portals, really not vessels, but portals can open up at any given time. I know there's apartments here in Haverhill that are doorways to the spirit realm, constant doorways to the spirit realm. And, you're sitting there and you feel things, you hear things, and it could be just a spirit going, I'm coming through to say hi, and then I'm going to leave. So there's that you can see happening a lot. So with these, familiar friends, and they just show up sometimes they'll show up on an anniversary, a birthday, a death date, a wedding day. They can show up just to say hi, to check on the family that's still living here, to make sure they're fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right, and usually you could get rid of these spirits yourself eventually. Just keep telling them, this is my space. I want my space. It's time for you to move on. Generally, they will listen. Now, people tell me all the time this time of year, we're afraid because we would decide to walk through a cemetery. Am I going to bring something home? The reality is you can bring something home, but the chances are slim to none that you will bring something home. But if you don't feel safe after going on a cemetery tour or something, what you want to do is just when you go to get in your car, you thank the spirits and you tell them, this is my car. I'm going home and you need to stay here. When you get out of your car, you say the same thing. And then when you walk into the house, this is my home. You're not allowed in my home. Can you please leave? And most of the time, I have friends that are in this field that, they tell me they live in 2-deckers, 3-deckers. Their stairway is loaded with spirits, but there's nothing bothering them. So that's another good thing, so that's another way of looking at this. The moderate hauntings can consist of, but not limited to, all the stuff I mentioned above, but usually stronger. So, and often by more than one person. So items removed completely. Sometimes someone may be the target of such phenomena. Smells, voices can be stronger as well. They last longer in duration and usually become more active as time goes by. These hauntings usually a spirit or spirits who are connected to the house, building, or land. It can also occur in cases where the spirit is trying to get important information through. This type of haunting can be a bit jarring, but usually isn't harmful. If you wish this type of spirit to leave, it can be done on your own, but try asking first. If it doesn't work, then you might want to bring in an experienced team that could help you out, get rid of the issue at hand. All right, so let's talk about some of these. Spirits connected to the house and land. You go buy a house. Beautiful. I lived my dream. I bought the house of my life. Well, I don't like the pink bathroom from the 1930s or 40s. I don't like the 1970s cabinets. Okay. I don't like the 1850s woodwork. It's too dirty. It's hard to maintain. I don't have time to wash wood all day long. So you got the house at a good cost, and now it's time to renovate. Oof. Renovations. What happens when you start renovating? Well, when you happen to start renovating, you can actually wake up the spirit of the house. Maybe, Aunt Sally or Sally passed away in there in the 1890s or the 1970s. And they like the way the house looks. But maybe you don't. Now it's your house. They no longer own it. They're not even on this plane anymore. So you start ripping down walls and cabinets and making the house, I guess, modern. I'd rather keep it the old way. I could live with the pink tiles in the bathroom and everything like that. That would actually be fun. I could live with the cloth tub. You don't need a shower, or you put the shower head in. But the old spirit might not like that. And he's watching his house, or she's watching the house. So that's when these things can get a little bit more, aggravated. They're not demonic, they're just agitated. So the voices can be stronger. Get out. You're not welcome here. The smells can go from pleasant smells to some unpleasant smells, but not bad, but just unpleasant. They also, at that point, that's when things sometimes may start falling off of walls, plates. You put the hammer there and it ended up outside. And you put the hammer on the kitchen table because you're just going to go tear down the rest of this wall, but you wanted to have a break. And then the camera goes missing. You go, where's the camera? Where's the hammer? You go outside, the hammer's sitting on top of the table outside. So that gets a little bit, stronger. They last longer. and more activity is seen. So that's what starts happening with more moderate hauntings. You can ask this thing to leave, but if it doesn't leave, then you can contact the team that can try to help you. There's no guarantees in this field that anything will go. Then you have severe hauntings. These type of hauntings include all the above, which we've already discussed. Smells can range from slight to quite foul. Objects can be thrown at people. You can be harmed, but not usually. Loud noises can be heard, and things can disappear altogether. This is the type of haunting usually with a spirit who is anchored to a place of land and energy. May become violent because of death or other circumstances that were too horrific for him or her to get over. These spirits act out, and the way they get rid of them is to have somebody experienced come in and help you out. So, what do we mean by that? Well, let's go back to homes. Years ago, we did a house. It was something similar to this. It was way, way back, and the people were scared. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they're scared. So when we got up there, we started checking things out. And I've never had an object thrown at me, but I will say this. At the old Sandown Meeting House, when they're doing a fundraiser, we do fundraisers for nonprofits, and we don't charge them. So if you're a nonprofit listening tonight, you want us in, we'll come in and investigate and do a nonprofit fundraiser for you. And so I was up in the pulpit at the old Sandown Meeting House. And as you know, that would have been, a different religion back then. And they weren't Catholics. They were actually, would have been town leaders, Congregationalist. So we know there's activity in there. Nothing was stirring. So I decided to go read from the Catholic Bible, and the response I got was nice, because we actually got a response. But the response was the spirit was not too happy with me. But that's all right. I mean, I made peace with it. Now we're friends, so we're cool. But that would be one. The smells are going to get quite foul. So instead of smelling roses or garlic, if you don't like garlic, that would be a good moderate explanation. Now you're going to start smelling trash or death or burn. Not burned wood either. Burning very hastily, like burning wet leaves or wet grass. Not the type of smell you want. So that's one of more severe hauntings. The spirit could get angry at you, and they are land-based. They might have led to violent death. You see that on battlefields. You see that in some parts. We went up to a case in the Lakes regions of New Hampshire, probably about 4 years ago, and we enjoyed the case. But there was some Native American bloodshed over there, and some of the team members actually could taste blood in their mouth, which was interesting. And that's due to the bloodshed of everything that happened on this road. And that road had more than just paranormal. It was a UFO stuff, too. So that made it interesting. All right, so that's the more we did the, okay, so yeah, objects fly. And the way to get rid of these things is you need somebody experienced. The severe hauntings will not just go because you ask it to go. Everybody needs to work together on these to make it work. Now, the demonic haunting. The type of haunting that scares the living daylights out of somebody. and could be harmful. Demons just come up to the place in person. They are usually invited in. So you're not going to have a demon walk over. So a lot of the darker cases, we don't get that many. And there's not really a lot out there. I know people say, I got a demon in my house. We get there and it's far from a demonic entity. All right, so the demons, they have to be invited. So if you use a Ouija board, make sure you know what you're doing. There are times where the Ouija board, yes, it's a tool, it's a device, it's just like a pendulum or anything else, can be just as dangerous. But if you use it properly and close down the portals that you're opening, wow, we got spirit activity here tonight. Boy, I can hear that, the reverb. That's interesting. That's what happens on live TV. We are live tonight here at LCAT Studios here in historic Lawrence. Historic haunted Lawrence, that is. There's got to be something playing with the volume, but that's all right. We're going to continue talking about it. So the next thing is, so these demonics, you usually invite them in, and they find a doorway in. The phenomena is loud, abusive, harmful, and they can be noticeable fighting among those who live and work in the place. Foul, horrible smells, things that, and things or people thrown and harmed. If not in place, the center of the activity, a person's location around. So this is not the type of haunting you want to take on yourself. All right, and is it as bad as the Halloween shows you watch? It could be, but most likely not. A lot of those have stories to them, and we're going to talk about one in particular. But let's go back to demonic haunting. So, first of all, horrible smells. You're going to be smelling death, sewage, very dead animals. Not something you want to be breathing in. You can be thrown or harmed. And it's usually, demonic hauntings are usually around one or two people. It's very localized. So it actually attaches or tries to attach itself to you. It is an extremely localized thing. So, and they usually pick out one or two people in the family. So again, this isn't the type of haunting you want to play with. You better call somebody in that actually knows what's going on. Because, I mean, we've had cases where it's sometimes too late. If you think you get yourself a mild haunting and you try to get rid of it and it doesn't go anywhere and it seems to get worse before it reaches to the next level. Because what happens in a demonic haunting, it just doesn't show like in the movies. Here comes the demon. Ugh, it's going to get you. It starts off as your friend. Your kid could be sitting in the room upstairs talking to a pretend friend. Joe, Sam, Bob, Tom. Simple names. You ask your kid, who you talking? Oh, I'm talking to Joe. And you bring it up as he's talking to his toys or something. You want to keep an eye on that because he or she may not be talking to their toys. They actually may be talking to a spirit. So the spirit pretends it's going to be your friend for a long time till it's got control of you. And then it starts tightening its control. It becomes a little nasty, then a little more, then a little more, then a little more, until it's got full control of you. And that's how the only way a demon can control you. It's not like you see in the movies. You know, you go into the house, you're the paranormal investigator, that demon's not going to hurt you right off the bat. it's got to become your friend. And if you're solid to it and you put your foot down, it cannot hurt you. In fact, no spirit can really hurt you. This is your body, your vessel. Protect it. Say no to the spirit. Be forceful. Be mindful. Don't show it fear, and you'll be fine. But if not, then it's time to call in some help. So how do paranormal investors, or even you got a haunted house, you want to protect yourself. So imagine if you're religious, imagine there's a good light above your, God light above your table, and see it pour down over your body, and this light encases your body like a jail cell to protect you. You're putting a bubble around you, and nothing dark can penetrate that bubble. That's what you want. Nothing dark can penetrate that bubble. And you're going to do that every chance you get. Nothing dark can penetrate that bubble that you put up. So that's something you really got to look at and do. The other thing you can do, we tell people if they get high EMF and there's a lot of problems in the house, you can actually get rid of bad pockets of air this way. A Himalayan salt lamp. Those are excellent. They help protect you. Hematite, like this. That's a great protection. And we're going to go through some protection. All right. You can also call in higher spirits if you believe in angels or something like that. Animals, your guides. I have my guide with me. I have a couple guides with me. Most of my investigators have been around a while, have found their own spirit guides. So, we're working towards that. And we've been doing it a long time, so we build up this stuff. And then lastly, if you're going to call the spirit out, always be in your bubble. Protect it. What you got to watch out for is masking. Negative spirits tend to slip through these doors or portals. Will sometimes mask as other people. Grandma, if you just lost her. Mom, dad, a brother or a sister you just lost. Because it wants to break down your defenses, basically. And that's how they get control of the situation. There's also heaviness. You can sometimes walk in the room and sense the heavy air. If it's that heavy, you don't want to be in there that long. If you have some sage, go in the room with some sage, burn it down, and tell whoever's in there, this is my property, you're not welcome. And hopefully some of that leaves. All right. All right. I'm going to actually go over this one last time because I get calls all the time and people say, I got demons in my house. I saw dark shadows. So I'm going to explain to you fully steps that inhuman spirits would take before getting into, quote, the demon on TV. So most hauntings you deal with are strictly spirits. A lot of poltergeist activity is caused by a spirit who wants attention, but the poltergeist phenomena on a larger scale can actually be the sign of a demonic haunting. So what happens is spirits then can cause small things to move, disappear, your deodorant, your keys. Demons then would start, steal your mattress from the bedroom on the third floor, put it in the basement while you're at work. Going over more and more typical signs of the spirit session. So some of the stuff with the spirits and the poltergeist can cause computers and electronics to actually go wonky. Brings a layer of thickness in the air. You can feel the layer of thickness. You can feel the change and go, whoa. Cause small arguments. Now, we've been to many homes we've saved a few marriages through the years. The families are fighting. The more fighting that goes on, the more negative activity you have. The more negative activity you have, the better chance that something negative like a demon will come through. And that's what you don't want. You don't want that type of negative activity. I've been on cases where I've interviewed the other family that lived in before the new family moved in, and they had no problems. Then the new family moves in, they're arguing every night, they're fighting every night, they end up getting a divorce, and this spirit's energy comes back and it wreaks havoc in your household and wreaks havoc on you as a human. So what you really want to do is try to avoid those. Like I had a client in Somersworth that was having some major family issues. Every time they talked about it, things would get heavy and there'd be a lot of problems. Somersworth, New Hampshire. So I told them, when it comes time for the heavy conversations, get in your car, tell the spirit you're not welcome, go somewhere and have the conversation that you need to have and figure out what's going on. That way there, the spirit energy of the past doesn't mix with the new, and then you have something. So at least we know if there's something there or not. We have a case recently out in the mighty Berkshires. We went there and we firmly believe that there's a spirit in the house. What kind of spirit remains to be seen. We're still working with this client. We're not going to give up on this client. But at the same time, we got to, know what's going on out there. And knowing is the most important thing. So you definitely want to make sure that there's no arguing going on. Because every time, with each of these cases I have, one particular subject is brought up and the air goes from 0 to 90. It goes from being way positive to way negative. And spirits feed off that negative energy, especially demons. Let's see. Create an audible phenomenon, knocks and footsteps. Yes. So you're going to hear something. You may not like it, you may like it, but you're going to hear some type of phenomena and some type of sighting or something along that lines. Footsteps, knocks, and some items disappearing, reappearing, usually not very far from the spot taken. Spirits can also be pushed or shoved by... spirits can also push and shove you too. We've had that happen more than once where one of us had been shoved, pushed. So that's real interesting. So now the demonic is the ultimate objective to cause disruption and destruction. So when it comes to demonic hauntings, these you have to watch out for. Typically they're done through an invitation. Ouija board, spirit communication devices, and there's many of them out there. Used by those who have been trained. Inhuman spirits can lay domination within a home within years. Constant heated arguments, severe depression, debilitating addictions, or a person interested in the occult, like things that will awaken dormant demons. So that's stuff we have to watch out for. That's the stuff you have to watch out for. But you don't know what they did in that house before you moved in, or the apartment either. So that's why when we go in, we have to be ready for just about anything, because it could be any one of the stuff I've already discussed. So these constant heated arguments, and if there's a person in the house that's interested in the occult, these things will eventually be wakened to dormant the demon. They will waken. These things will waken up. And then this is when they invite their friends in for fun. They're not blatant about their activities, mainly staying in humans' peripheral vision, usually. Little black balls of energy. And then nighttime using much more time because they get the energy to do this. And they want to get people scared to keep them awake all night because they will cause you to eventually generate negative energy, which they will feed off of your negative energy, like famously known Popeye feeding off of his spinach. And they want to get you scared. Please, and I can't stress this more, please do not handle this yourself because you will get hurt. You have to contact a team that knows what they're doing, and they could have a demonologist on staff to help you with this, or they can contact a demonologist. I have a few friends that do handle that stuff, so it's easy for me to get in contact with them. Now remember this, the only way a demon or a spirit is going to get you is by causing oppression. They divide and conquer you. It's sad, but they actually divide and conquer you. They will bruise you, bite you, claw you, play with your mind, making you see fears and become paranoid about people around you, keeping you captive in your own home. They will attack you day and night to show themselves, usually one person within the home. The manifest is whatever way they believe will scare you the most. Remember, they are trying to keep you under their thumbs. So, if you would come across one of those, we don't want that happening to you. Please call in help. Do not take something like this on. And possession, you will be crushed to know that they can change. Typically, they will only occupy the body for short amounts of time, leading to the black out periods, like when your body blacks out and you don't know where you are. That's also very scary. During this time, you will destroy people and things around you. They will continue to try to keep you isolated. Remember that they're always more than one, even though you may not be possessed right now. There's always that chance you can be. I would not take that on with anybody. I would call in a team that knows what they're doing. All right. So, what else can cause a haunting in your house? We just went over some stuff there. Geological stuff, water, rocks, an old burial ground. I almost forgot that one. That could be in your own backyard. You don't even know about it, especially if you're living up in the mountains in New Hampshire, Vermont, and Rhode Island. They're still finding graveyards today. So, what else can cause issues with hauntings? What else? Well, we get calls and they go, my house is fine. I grew up in this house. Everything's great. Now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get spirits. Well, they could be travelers. But wait a minute. If you like going yard sailing or anything like that, you got to be careful. You probably should sage down what your yard sale items. Or spray it with holy water. Secondhand stores, family heirlooms, and regifted gifts. Some of the artifacts you do pick up can have energy on it left over. There are many times I've been to secondhand stores and I'm sitting there watching the rocking chair rock going, good luck to the person that buys that rocking chair because they're bringing something home they're not buying or bargaining for. So that's a possibility. Anything can be a haunted object, but jewelry, um, beads, guitars, cameras. Look around your house. Someone's favorite kitchen knife. So there's a lot of things out there. Heirlooms. Grandma passes away, you get all her jewelry. You might get a few other things with it. It might not be grandma either. It could be another family member that wore that jewelry before grandma. All right. So, let me see. Did I cover everything? No. So these artifacts that have this have a lot of energy attached to it. We use our meters to figure out what's there and why there'd be that much energy. If you look around and there's no plugs in the room or near where you're getting it, then it's got to be something of the spirit realm. Not so much inhuman, but of the spirit realm. And what you try to do is document this stuff. And then if the people want to move it on. But what you're trying to do at first is document what's going on in your house. Document the history of your house. That's where you find a lot of the questions. Like, why is this door this way when it should be this way? So that means maybe the house might be a little older than expected. Or they kept the original front door and gutted out the hole inside. I've seen that too. But these spirits know what you're doing to their homes. They know what they're feeling. And if they don't like it, they're going to let you know they don't like it. So, all right. Some of the stuff you can use, though, that I would use. Black obsidian. It's an energetic protection. Black negative and blocks negative energy from you. Remove the negative thoughts from your mind. Do not keep negative thoughts or bad thoughts in your mind. I know that's hard to do, especially in the society we're living in today. Use elements of earth and fire. Black tourmaline. Great absorbing electric magnetic fields. Great for personal protection. Enhances protection where you can feel things, and add some sea salt, and that'll help you too. We use juniper. It was used against the plague and to disrupt negative vibes, negative energy. So if you have that juniper, burn some of that. That works out nicely. If you are religious, you can use whatever your preferred method is to protect your house. But always remember this: those spirits cannot hurt you. They own you. They don't own you. You own the house, is what I meant to say. That was a big blooper live. Blooper report. That's what's interesting about live. Remember, you own the house, not the spirit. So 3 times the artifacts once brought into the home have energy. So these energies could haunt your house, objects as well as equipment. So once they're identified, we'll ask the client what they want to do with them. And then we'll either cleanse it off for them, lock down their house. That's one thing we can do. I use a mixture of sage, sea salt, black tourmaline, obsidian, and sometimes holy water. We'll lock the doors down with sea salt. And that'll protect the house. So that's one way of protecting the house. Now, sometimes, for example, it's maybe not the house, it's the land. There was a battle there during some French-Indian War, Revolutionary battle, murder, violence. Someone died there, and their spirit lingers there because it's lost. So if it's lingering to the land, we can protect the house by closing it off. Then we have to go outside and cleanse the land. And we do also do that house cleansing and land cleansing. Land cleansing does take a lot. Again, none of this stuff can be guaranteed. If you ever have a team walk in and say, I can guarantee you that your house is haunted and we can cleanse it, I want you to do me a favor. Show them the front door, because in this field that we're in, there are no guarantees. There's hope. We can work hard for people. We can help people. There are ways of helping. But guaranteeing something that can be removed from a house is not the way to do it. And you shouldn't be doing that. There are no guarantees. So when you're home tonight thinking about what's going on, think hard, think fast. You may or may not have a spirit in your house. I hope you enjoyed this show, but before I sign off and let you go, I want to mention one thing. Halloween throughout the Merrimack Valley, and actually, I think some of southern New Hampshire, has been canceled this year. So if you're looking for something to do on Halloween, I'm going to have a historic in the making show. We're going to do a 3-hour live broadcast from the studio on Halloween night. I'm going to be bringing in guest speakers, and we're going to have some events planned. Keep an eye on LCAT TV, channel 98 in Lawrence, and 98 Methuen, 8 in Lawrence. I always get them confused. And we'll probably put something up middle of next week with a schedule of what we're going to do. But we were going to try to have some family-friendly events on that 3-hour show, too. So that's our plan. Again, if you have a haunted house, think about what I had to say tonight. Analyze it. Keep a journal. And then when you're ready, you call a team in. I want to thank the Lawrence Heritage State Park. This was for them tonight. I want to thank the hard work of the Lawrence Cable TV. They worked real hard getting this together, especially going live. Live is not as easy as you think. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in at home tonight. I hope you enjoyed this show. Again, I'm Tom Spitaleri, founder of the Essex County Ghost Project. If you have any issues, you can find us, contact us, and we don't charge. We will come to your house for free. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and I'm going to see you in the paranormal.